Hello everyone and welcome back. Let's do a video on Proterra and let's compare Lion Electric. Which one would you buy and would you invest in this environment, or is it better just to do some really solid trades? We're going to be talking about that. We're going to do some comparisons. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, give the video a big thumbs up, keeps me motivated. Let's get straight into it. Let's start off with macroeconomic indicators. The first thing I want to look at is the price of oil. We have been running into trouble with the price of oil going up to $120. So you want to look at that level, and you can see we haven't reached that since about the mid-June timeframe. Now we're towards the end of June. The price of oil has pulled back, but you can see it's slightly starting to tick up just a little bit. So we want to keep the price of oil down because that really compresses margins and makes things very difficult for businesses. Now we got to get supply up on the oil side, and we know the conflict with Russia still continues. Now, how do we do that? We'll have to wait and see. The president obviously has been trying to do some things, but with the next administration, we might see a change in policy. So I will say that copper is the next thing you want to look at. Copper futures is something you want to keep your eye on, not only because we're using so much copper in EV technology, but we use it in homes. They call it Dr. Copper, and you can see that has pulled back in the last month. If we look at the year chart, you can see how much it's really pulled back, and that's because of GDP growth concerns. So keep your eye on copper. We want to see that go back up and not necessarily be overinflated, and pricing coming down in commodities is a good thing, but we want to see copper become stable and look like we're going to see some growth. That's not happening. Now, Bitcoin is something else that I like to watch. 19,000 again, as pressures mount on these crypto firms. Remember, if you have your crypto not in a cold wallet and it's with a brokerage, make sure that it's secured, because in a cold wallet, the keys, you own those, you're the custodian. Your crypto could be at risk. Now, I like crypto, Bitcoin specifically, between the price of 17K and 14K. So watch for those levels and be patient with your money. I would say this is a patience market. The next thing that I want to take a look at is I want to take a look at FinViz, because here is Proterra, and I like Proterra versus Lion Electric as far as volume, and you want to know that your trade's going to be liquid, and Proterra is just a little bit more liquid. Now, it did pull down and reach that new 52-week low, so it went under $4.44, and that's why we're looking at both Proterra and Lion Electric. A catalyst potentially could move it a couple of dollars, maybe a dollar, dollar and a half. I mean, things have changed since last year, so we're not seeing that same type of volatility unless it's volatility down. Now, there could be anything that happens with the flip-flopping Fed, and he could change policy at any moment, but I don't see that happening. With CPI numbers coming out June 13th, I expect that we haven't reached peak inflation because nothing fundamentally changed with energy, and that was a big cost driver. And housing also was massively expensive, and even though we're seeing a pullback in demand, I don't think we've realized that as far as June. Now, the biggest takeaway for Proterra as far as news releases, if we scroll down here, it is the Proterra Transit business unit, the new president. And I think we needed some leadership there. Even though the business was pretty confident in the work that they could do, I believe that strategic leadership is important. Now, this is a business that I believe is using the good old buddy system. And if you look at the new president's background, there's some very similar things with the new CEO. So I don't know that there isn't still this good old boy system there, but hopefully we'll see that he's able to do the work. And why not? If you're the CEO of a company, build a team that you want. And I do believe that the CEO potentially is a good team builder. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Last quarter was awful, and I don't know that it can get worse this quarter, so we'll have to wait and see. Now, if we look at the press releases for Lion Electric, we're seeing some cash raises, right? We're seeing the federal program for the clean buses. So we know that there's two major differences between Lion Electric and Proterra. Proterra is focused on the battery builds, and it looks like we're focused with Lion Electric on the bus builds, really the Amazon contract, getting that facility finished and being able to do upwards of 22,000 vehicles. Now we're going to have to watch part shortages because we know that the build rate that Proterra has done, they've run into numerous part shortages, and that's Lion Electric. They're going to have to face that, and we're going to have to see how they deal with that. It doesn't matter how much capacity ability you have if you don't have the parts to build. And buses, they take a lot of parts, especially with the number of configurations that they offer. I swear, Proterra is like Burger King. They're trying to give everybody every configuration that they want, and then there's this extensive inspection process that the customer can kick it back and they can't recognize revenue until it's accepted on that end. That's why they have such long lead times. That makes it so expensive, and they've just been very unproductive. Now, the price to sales trailing 12 months for Proterra is 4.55. So that is relatively low. Now, of course, we're still trying to realize where these prices are and what is acceptable for actually buying long term. That's why I'm hesitant to say invest. And I like these option trades, especially when we're breaking those 52-week lows. Now, if we look at Lion Electric, it's 11.43, another win for Proterra. If we take a look at tip ranks, $7.50. We've got that's the average price target for Proterra. We've got a 61.64% upside for Lion Electric. We've got 114.91% upside, but you know, with these companies that are spending this money, trying to reach peak production, I mean, this could be more risk for Lion Electric versus Proterra, who just needs to add another shift. They've got the capacity, they just need the parts. So I would say, even though there's more upside as far as tip ranks and analysts are concerned, I still think analysts are trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Now, I want you to take a look at the risk for Proterra. I looked at both the filings, SEC filings for Lion Electric and Proterra, and when I looked at Proterra, I was like, they basically did their own short report. And the last time I told y'all on the channel for Proterra, and I kind of pulled away from it because I was like, not only are they not meeting their production targets that they gave us in the original slide deck slides, they aren't doing the second shifts, but they basically did a short report as far as all of these risks. And just to mention a few, defects in the material or workmanship. I mean, I was always defending their battery, their workmanship, their quality, but they have exposed a lot of things that I didn't realize were happening. And I just want you to know, it's normal to have things kicked back, but there's some things in here you should be familiar with. There's some risk. If you're an investor for Proterra, you need to read these. So we're not going to go through those in detail unless you let me know in the comments below that you want to hear about all of the risk in a video. I'll do a video that just talks about risk. Lion Electric, I want to focus on the order book because we know that there was about 1.6 billion or something like that for Proterra as far as backlog. They don't talk about this often because it changes for a number of reasons. But the order book, can they change their orders into actual realized revenue? That's what you have to look at. That's what I would pay attention to. I would say that here it's equal. I think they have enough work to do in both organizations. It really comes down to parts. Now, if we look at their financials, I like the financials for Proterra better. And even though we have compressed gross margins, I would say take a look at Proterra to improve. Or I know costs are going up, but I believe the cost that you're going to see in the early stages of building a new manufacturing facility and for Lion Electric to have to learn some lessons that, I would go with Proterra in the short term, potentially once they prove themselves, Lion Electric in the long term. Now let's take a look at the charts because we did break through those 52-week lows. And you can see that down here, we have previously met $4.38 right around there. I mean, this was the 444 mark here. I believe that we're coming back up from this mark. How long that will last, of course, you want to see this break below that RSI indicator like it did back here, but you can already see that it's going up, and that's why I messaged everyone on the community tab about this, because I do expect a little bit of an increase. Now remember, these don't last long. There are so many people shorting stuff out there. I mean, it's 70% short interest on Proterra, and it's about 50 on Lion Electric, and I see that continuing. Now, Lion Electric is something that I would pass on for now. I mean, if you want to add to your position, I think you could still be a little bit more patient, just understanding with what some of those numbers are. Now, if I was going to buy Proterra, and this isn't a recommendation to buy or sell, I would go with a call option and I would push it out to January 20th of 2023. So I want to give myself a lot of time, and I want to buy something that has some potential to earn me some money. I want to stay closer to in the money. I want to do a $5 call option at 85, maybe 75. I want to look for this to pull back. Hopefully some of you got within this range. I want to know that there's some being traded. I don't want to go with $6 and see that there's complete zeros across the board. I wouldn't go as high as 10 because think about what type of market we're in. But those are my thoughts. I wanted to give you guys an update on both Proterra and Lion Electric. If you had to pick one, I believe Proterra still wins right now. I still believe that there's a lot for this new leadership team to prove. I believe that maybe we could see a turnaround, like I said in my last video on Proterra, in this next quarter. That's all I got. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.